Hello and welcome. You're watching Today in Parliament with me, Aishwarya. These are the Parliament headlines. Rajya Sabha to discuss the Appropriation Bill and the Finance Bill 2019. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman to move the bills for consideration and return. Half an hour discussion on Clean Ganga Drive also on agenda. Upper House to take up bill to strengthen the POCSO Act. Union Minister Smriti Irani to move the bill for consideration and passing. Bill aims to make punishment more stringent for offenders involved in sexual crimes against minors. And in the Lok Sabha, the Code on Wages 2019 and the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2019 likely to be introduced today. Lower House to discuss the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2019 for passing. Three bills are listed in today's agenda in the Rajya Sabha. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will move the Appropriation Number 2 Bill 2019 for consideration and return. It aims to authorize payment and appropriation of certain sums from and out of the Consolidated Fund of India for the services of the financial year 2019-20. The bill was passed by Lok Sabha last week. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will also move the Finance Number 2 Bill 2019 for consideration and return. It will give effect to the financial proposals of the central government for the financial year 2019-20. The bill contains tax proposals of the government for this fiscal. This bill was passed in the Lok Sabha on 18th of July. And Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani will move the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2019, that the POCSO Bill, for consideration and passing. It aims to further amend the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. It aims to make a punishment more stringent and even include death penalty for the offenders involved in sexual crimes against minors. It also provides for stringent punishment for storing and distributing pornographic material. And also in the upper house, a half an hour discussion is slated regarding Clean Ganga Drive. All right, Kriti Mishra, our colleague, is now joining us live from Parliament. Kriti, talking about Rajya Sabha first, there are three key bills that are listed in today's agenda. Of course, this of the three bills, very important, of course, being the POCSO bill. What can we expect in the Rajya Sabha today?
Well, we've seen disruptions yesterday in the House, Aishwarya, and today we expect the House to transact important business. Remember, important bills are lined up in the Rajya Sabha. So there's POCSO Amendment Bill to enlarge the definition of child pornography and to make punishment more stringent in order to tighten noose around all sexual harassment cases and sexual offences against children. There are also important bills related to finance, which is the Appropriation Number 2 Bill and also the Finance Bill 2019. Remember, the Appropriation Bill Number 2 Bill has already been passed by the Lok Sabha, wherein it empowered the central government to withdraw 98.18 lakh crore rupees from Consolidated Fund of India to meet its expenditure for the current financial year. Now, this bill would be taken up in the Rajya Sabha. There's also the Finance Bill 2019. When this bill was getting passed in the Lok Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman had said that tax proposals contained in the Finance Bill 2019 will ensure ease of living for the people of India and will also further give a push to Make in India initiative and digital payments. So these important bills would be taken up for discussion in the Rajya Sabha and then they would be returned to the Lok Sabha. So important business lined up in the upper house. Aishwarya?
And, Kriti, you were mentioning about the fact that the Rajya Sabha, we witnessed opposition yesterday, as the Human Rights Bill was passed yesterday. And there are reports that say that the opposition wants certain bills to be, taken up by the committees. Any update on that story?
Well, the opposition has been saying that the bills should be sent to the standing committee or the select committee of the Rajya Sabha for further scrutiny. The government has clarified earlier also whether it was on the RTI amendment bill or even on the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Bill in the Lok Sabha. The government had clarified that this bill was scrutinized by the committees and then the government has brought them in the House for consideration and passage. So the government is saying that this ample scrutiny has been done, but the opposition is demanding the constitution of new committees for further scrutiny of bills. Aishwarya?
Right. Kriti, stay with us. We'll just come back to you because we also need to discuss about Lok Sabha. Well, several bills are listed in today's agenda in the Lok Sabha. Two bills listed for introduction include the Code on Wages 2019 to amend and consolidate the laws relating to the wages and bonus and matters concerned with that. The Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2019 to consolidate and amend the laws regulating the occupational safety, health and the working conditions of the persons employed in an establishment and the matters connected therewith or incidental thereof. And also in the agenda, 5 bills are listed for consideration and passing. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari will move the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill 2019 to further amend the Motor Vehicles Act 1988. Home Minister Amit Shah will move the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Bill 2019 for consideration and passing. Now, this bill aims to further amend the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. And other bills are to be taken up for discussion in the lower house are the DNA Technology Use and Application Regulation Bill 2019, the Banning of Unregulated Deposit Schemes Bill 2019, and the Public Premises Eviction of Unauthorized Occupants Amendment Bill 2019. All right, let's go back to Kriti Mishra, who's joining us live from Parliament. Kriti, speaking about Lok Sabha, we are seeing that there are a lot of bills that are listed today. Of course, the most important being the Motor Vehicles Bill. The discussion on that is going to continue, and there are 2 bills also listed for introduction. How do you look at the day panning out in the Lok Sabha?
Well, we've witnessed extremely productive session of the Lok Sabha, and today, as you've mentioned, the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill is listed for consideration and passage. Remember, this bill has been the priority of the government because during the last 3 years, there have been 1.5 deaths on roads because of 1.5 lakh deaths on roads due to accidents that translates roughly to 400 deaths per day. So the government has taken a serious note of this issue, and this particular bill aims to make punishment more stringent in case of violations and also aims to make Aadhaar mandatory for securing the driving license. Remember, India is signatory to Brasilia Convention on Road Safety, wherein it is committed to reducing road accidents by half by the next year. So this is a very important bill. There are other important bills like the Unlawful Activities Prevention Amendment Bill, wherein a person who is suspected to have links with the terrorists would be designated as a terrorist. This further accentuates and emphasizes government's zero tolerance policy towards terrorism. There's also the DNA Technology Bill to ensure the use of DNA technology for improving the delivery of justice and also to make the services more convenient for the people. So important bills are lined up in the Lok Sabha as well with a heavy legislative agenda. Aishwarya?
Right, a heavy legislative agenda in the Lok Sabha as well. Thank you so much, Kriti, for all those updates there. And now a look at some of the ministers who will be laying papers on the table concerning their ministries in the Rajya Sabha today. Dr. Harshvardhan for the Ministry of Science and Technology. Shripad Yesu Naik for the Ministry of Ayush. Prahlad Singh Patel for the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Culture. Rajkumar Singh for the Ministry of Power. Ashwini Kumar Chaubey for the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Anurag Singh Thakur for the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the Ministry of Finance. And Prahlad Singh Patel will also make a statement regarding the status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 267th report of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Transport, Tourism and Culture on the action taken by the government on the recommendations contained in the 261st report of the Committee on Demands for Grants 2018-19 pertaining to the Ministry of Tourism. Dr. Harshvardhan will move a motion to elect one member from amongst the members of the House to be a member of the Jawaharlal Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education and Research, Puducherry. And Dr. Harshvardhan will also move a motion to elect one member from amongst the members of the House to be the member of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Bhubaneswar, subject to the provisions of the Act. And following ministers will lay papers on the table in the Lok Sabha today. Mansukh Mandavia for the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. Arjun Ram Meghwal for the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises. Krishan Pal for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Danve Rao Sahab Dada Rao for the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. G. Kishan Reddy for the Ministry of Home Affairs. And the Secretary General will report a message from Rajya Sabha regarding the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Bill 2019. Narendra Singh Tomar will make a statement regarding the status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 47th Standing Committee report on agriculture on demands for grants 2018-19 pertaining to Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Ministry. And with that, we wrap up with this edition of Today in Parliament. Do stay tuned. The proceedings of the Upper House are going to begin in a short while from now, right at 11 a.m. Thanks for watching.